So till that time, let's say maybe if I will spend 5-10 minutes on solving one problem. So just take CA naught is equal to, let's say, 2 mole per liter. Naught is equal to 4 liters per minute. R equal to 0.1 CA. 40 liter PFR. So what is the conversion? Now same input, if you take it to 20 liter followed by 20 liter PFR, what is the conversion? So I'm just trying to explain that when you split the PFR, you will not get anything. So you have this data CA at 2 mole per liter, V at 4 liters per minute, minus R equal to 0.1 CA is going to a PFR of 40 liters per minute. Liters, what will be the conversion? Suppose if it is going to 20 liters followed by 20 liters, then what? Technically, we should get same conversion because, so by splitting PFR, no impact on back mixing. No impact on back mixing. Can somebody tell what is the answer here? Liquid phase reaction. Take it as a liquid phase reaction. This is just one problem to prove our concept. So actually when you solve the problems, your concepts will be generally more clear. So until 2600 liters. So this is the first problem that we have solved. So let's start non-ideal reactors. So this is, let's say, the first problem that we have solved. Ca0 is 2 mole per liter, V0 is 400 liters per minute, and Ca0 2 mole per liter minus R is 0.1 Ca. So V is CSTR 400 liters, V of PFR is, let's say, 2600 liters is the volume which is required. So you will select, obviously, you will select the PFR because volume is less. Because the volume is less. Clear? Now if you go to, let's say, reactor vendor and ask, let's say, to construct a PFR. To construct a PFR. What is PFR? So PFR, what is the meaning of PFR? Every plane should have a different concentration is the concept of PFR. So is it really possible to have a PFR is the question. So can we construct really a PFR? So basically in reality, you do not have a CSTR, you do not have a PFR. So you don't have a real CSTR, you don't have a real, or let's say ideal CSTR, you don't have ideal PFR. So basically what is important thing is, so constructing an ideal PFR is not possible. Is not possible. So what do you do now? So what do you do now? Then what we can do is, vendor says he has a reactor where back mixing is minimum. Back mixing is minimum, but not zero. Let's say this is how you represent it. This is what is a real reactor is. This is what is a real reactor. He shows this reactor and he tells you that, let's say, this reactor you apply sector or you can take it because this reactor has a very minimum back mixing. So, but then you have a doubt. Then he will ask a different question. How much volume? Then you have a question, or let's say, what is the volume? What is the volume of this real reactor? What is the volume of this real reactor to get 50% conversion? Can you calculate this? How did you calculate, let's say, 2600 CSTR PFR, let's say 4,000 CSTR 2600 PFR is? So you have the input data, you calculated the volumes. Clear? You calculated the volumes. Have you understood all the entire conversation? So maybe I'll show you the entire boards again. So this is what is the data. So this is what is your, let's say, problem. This is, let's say, chemistry. So you have decided to select a CSTR. Then when you go to vendor, when you go to ask for a construct a PFR, so then you explain that every plane should have a different concentration. Then what he will say is, so we cannot construct a PFR. So constructing an ideal PFR is not possible because it is impossible to maintain the concentration of molecules different on each plane because there is a concept of molecular diffusion. Even if you maintain, let's say, bulk diffusion 0, but there is a concept of molecular diffusion. That means particles will itself move from one plane to other plane. Clear? So that is That is impossible to control. So what vendor says is he has a reactor. What vendor says is he has a reactor where back mixing is minimum. Where back mixing is minimum. Now your doubt is what is the volume of this real reactor to get 50% conversion? Can you calculate this? Can you calculate this? Can you calculate what is the volume of this real reactor to get 50% conversion? Can you calculate or not? No. I'm getting answers no. Why? Why you can't calculate? So why you won't calculate? I want this particular part to be more interactive because everybody feels that let's say non-ideal reactors is slightly difficult. So we'll try to have a more interaction and then make it as easy as possible. Why you can't calculate? How did you calculate PFR CSTR volumes? Yes, yes, I'm getting many replies. Why you can't calculate? Can you calculate? So the answer is no, simply no. Because there is no model, no. There is no model for this real reactor. So, but what you can say is the volume should be the volume of this real reactor should be in between 2600 and 4000 only. This is 100% because can you invent a reactor for this reaction which gives volume below 2600? Can you have a reactor which gives volume below say 2600 for this particular reaction? No, because for this positive order reaction, PFR is the best. That itself is giving the 2600. What is the worst thing? CSTR, which is giving the 4000. So the real reactor volume should be in between, let's say 2600 and 4000 only. Now you can't calculate what is this volume because there is no model available. But you can go with one thing. Can we go with a guess? Let's say this should be in between, let's say 2600 and 4000. So I'll take a guess of, let's say 3000, 3200 or 3500 liters. What happens if you take a guess and build a plant? Suppose if you get 50% conversion, it is fine. Suppose if you don't get 50% conversion, let's say you guessed 3000 liters and then you got, let's say 45% conversion. Then what is the problem is the entire downstream is designed for a particular composition. Reactor, suppose if you have a reaction A gives B, if the conversion is 50%, then what is the outlet gas composition? 50% A, 50% B. See the downstream, if you have a distillation column, it is designed for 50% A, 50% B separation. Suppose if you guess with the reactor volume or if you guess with the reactor, then if you get, let's say 45% conversion, then what is the downstream composition? 45% B and 55% A. So the distillation column is not applicable. So the entire downstream is under question. So because your reactor is not performing, because your reactor is not calculated, your reactor volume is a guess. Your reactor volume is not a real volume. So you can't take guess into a big plant. So you can't do any, let's say, trial and error methods in a bigger plant. So can you imagine what is the cost of a hydrogen plant? Simple hydrogen plant in the refinery is 600 crores. So what is the cost of an ammonia plant? Can you imagine? 1300 crores. If you want to build an ammonia plant, it is 1300 crores. So clear. So you can't take guess and then forward because there is no model available. So that means you are playing on a big margins or let's say big monies. A refinery will be almost like 15 to 50, 60,000 crores of cost. Clear. So you can't build the entire refinery on the gas volumes. So that is why. So that is why reactor is an important thing in a plant. So that is why reactor is important in a plant. Suppose, see, there are so many technologies failed because, so let's say, suppose if you have a plant of, let's say, we build, let's say some of the plants, let's say I have a product A and let's say I have a reactant A and my product is B. Let's say I have a side reaction which is C. So what did you design the downstream for the separation of A, B, C only? No. Suppose if you are not done R&D properly, if you have another side product D, which is ended up in a plant, then what do? Your entire plant is of no use, no? Because your plant is designed for ABC, but you are getting a product which is D. How do you separate them? Because you have not designed a display or downstream for separation of D. There are so many technologies failed in the first attempt because the reactors, or let's say reactor design, is not understood properly. So that is why reactor is the heart of the entire, let's say, plant. Now you can't calculate the volume. So what do is, we will take a small reactor. We will take a small, we'll take a small reactor, and do R&D in the lab and generate a model. So what do you ask the vendor is? Generate a model. Maybe you'll ask him to give, let's say, 2 liters of small reactor. So something like this. 2 liters of, let's say, you take, let's say, 2 liters of small reactor and of real reactor, and do experiments. And generate a model. Now you should get another doubt. What is your doubt will be, suppose I take a 2 liters reactor, I did experiments and I generated a model. What is the guarantee that this model is applicable to, let's say, bigger volumes? Suppose you generated a model. So you generated a model from this one. Now you give that model CA naught, B naught, and then minus RA. It projects it as a 3150 liters is the volume. Clear? This is the real reactor. So you did experiments, and then that is where the concept of scale up comes into picture. What does the scale up or CFD that you study is, when you take 2 liters reactor and if you scale up to 3150, what is the change in the flow patterns? What is the change in the flow behaviors? That is where you take this 3150 and send it to another concept of scale up CFD. Finally, the volume which is going into the plant is 3000, let's say 250 liters, or let's say 3200, or let's say 3220 liters, or 270, some liters. So that is why you have to do all these corrections. So suppose if you are designing a packed bed reactor, first thing is you take a small packed bed reactor and do experiments in the lab and understand and generate a model. Take that packed bed reactor and generate, apply, or let's say take that model and apply it to your, let's say, your real problem. Then you got the volume. Then that volume will be corrected for, let's say, scale up studies. This is how you do the entire, let's say, reactor development. What you will do in the chapter 4 is do experiments and generate a model. Is what is the objective of chapter 4. What is the chapter 4 that you are studying is, you do experiments and generate a model on a small scale reactor. Because CFD itself is a scale up. Now what is CFD? You will study this transport phenomena. You will study, let's say, transport phenomena in 4th year. What does the transport phenomena is? You will write mass balance, momentum balance, heat balance, all the vectors you will scale up, and then you will understand the entire things. Is it clear? Just take 2 minutes time and then again understand everything. Just so I'll explain all the boards again. So we started with the problem. This is our chemistry. Clear? We calculated volume of the CSTR, volume of the PFR. Our object, I have selected the PFR because PFR volume is less. Then you go to reactor vendor and says that I need a PFR. So what you say is every plane should have a different concentration. Then he says that it is impossible. So construction of an ideal PFR is not possible. Then vendor says he has a reactor which is where back mixing is minimum. What you want is back mixing is minimum. What is ideal is zero, but zero is not possible. So this is what is, let's say, real reactor. Then what is the volume of this real reactor to get 50% conversion? Can you calculate? You can't calculate because you don't have this real reactor volume, no? So that is where you ask that vendor. So you give me a prototype of this real reactor, small type of this real reactor. I'll do experiments in my lab and I'll generate a model for this real reactor. So that is where you take this. Now we will take a small reactor, do R&D in the lab and generate a model. Now you have generated a model. So with that model, if you predicted your volume is getting 3150. But this 3150 gives exactly 50% conversion, provided this 3150 and this 2 liters have the same behavior. But when you scale up, the behaviors will change, no? That is where the concept of transport phenomena comes into picture. So you will take whatever the 3150 volume will be corrected to the flow corrections. That is from 2 liters to 3150 liters. There will be some change in the flow patterns inside the reactor. Clear? So that correction is done by a transport phenomena. Finally, our reactor volume is 3270 liters, which directly goes to the plant. That 3270 will give exactly 50%. Finally, you will not construct the 3270 also. You will not take risk on a 3270 also. So that is where you will do is, since you have done experiments on a 2 liters, you will construct, let's say, 100 liters reactor and confirm again whether on 100 liters I am getting correct or not. So that is where when you are developing a technology, you do first experiments on a lab scale, then you do a pilot scale. If you are confident on a pilot scale, then only will go for a bigger scale. Like UOP kind of companies, they are very confident because they have developed so many technologies. So they will go directly pilot to, let's say, a real plant construction. Clear? So because they have a lot of experience, but they might have, let's say, failed so many times. There is one book on UOP, 100 Ideas for Rent. So that book will tell you how, let's say, UOP has, maybe if you have time, just buy that book and study. It shows how UOP has, let's say, developed so many technologies and how many times it has failed in the initial cases. So somebody who is coming new into the technology development, what he will do is he will do experiments in the lab. He will confirm a pilot scale. Then he will construct a demo plant. So that means it is demo plant means, so here from 2 liters to 100 liters, from 100 liters to 1000 liters, he will confirm again. That is where he will go to another 3150. 100 Ideas for Rent is what is UOP's book. So that you will understood when you are working in a plant, but if you are academics, you may not appreciate the knowledge in that book. But once you got some plant experience, then you will appreciate that knowledge in the book. Clear? So that is how the technology development. But what we are doing in the chapter 4 is, how do you generate a model? How do you generate a model? So don't worry about this, let's say how 3150 becomes 3270, but I just explained you, let's say, it is another, like whatever the reactor volume that we have calculated, this is just 3270 is some number. Somebody is asking 3150, 3270 are very close. So I'm saying that it has to go for another correction. That can be 3270 or 3700 or something like that. We don't know. CFD stands for computational fluid dynamics, which is nothing but what you study in transport phenomena. Transport phenomena in industry is called as CFD. So just spend some time on this one. So I'll give 2 more minutes. Just spend time because this introduction is very important. Why we are studying this chapter is extremely important. So everybody got it? The entire background? If you get, then only will understand what we are going to do next. If you do not understand here, then the next topics will be difficult. If you understood, just say yes in the charts. Because this is the part which is missing for many of the people, which makes the chapter 4 difficult. So I'm going to next slide. So what is the objective of chapter 4 then? So I'll write objective. So I'll write the objective. So then what is the objective of chapter 4? What is the objective? Objective of the ADLIS, generating a model for a non-ideal reactor is the objective. So what is non-ideal reactor? Is basically a real reactor which is possible to construct. Clear? What is non-ideal reactor? It is a real reactor which is you can construct on a bigger scale. So this is the objective. Why do you need a model? Because that model will be used for, let's say, designing of bigger scale reactors. Clear? Then the next question that you get is how to generate a model. How to generate the model. How to generate the model. How to generate the model is the next bigger question. Now let's understand reactor on micro scale. On a small scale, what is happening? Suppose if this is a real reactor, let's imagine that you have sent, let's say, 3 particles. Just for study point of view, you have sent 3 particles inside the reactor. So because this is a real reactor, no, what is the back mixing inside? Back mixing is in between 0 to 100%. Suppose if there is no back mixing, if you leave all the 3 particles at time t equal to 0, when they will exit? Will they exit at same time or different times? Suppose if you send all these 3 particles to a PFR, when they will exit? They will exit at same time. Since this is a real reactor where you have some back mixing, so these particles will exit at different times. So let's say this comes at, let's say, 5 minutes. This comes, let's say, at 8 minutes. This comes, let's say, at 12 minutes. The one which is coming 5 minutes may have a 50% conversion. The one which is coming at 8 minutes will have, let's say, 70% conversion. The one which is having, let's say, 90% conversion. So what is the conversion that you will see? Average is 50 plus 70 plus 90 divided by 3, which is roughly 70%. Clear? So this is the reactor understanding on a bigger scale. So whatever the conversion that you calculate or you see is the average conversion of the particles. The average conversion of the particles. The average conversion depends upon the residence time of the particles. That residence time depends upon the back mixing of the particles. So what is the back mixing is nothing but a flow patterns. What is flow patterns? These are mixing patterns inside the reactors now. So these flow patterns inside will create a back mixing. Suppose if the flow patterns are such a way that the back mixing is 0, then all the particles will exit at the same time. Then their conversions will be exactly same. Then their average conversion is also same. Suppose if you send these 3 particles, to another reactor, why you are getting? So basically you understand one question. If you send a stream of particles to different reactors, why you are getting different conversions? That is the question. What could be the answer? Or first understand this one. Let's understand this one, then I'll explain that topic next. So have you understood this? Have you understood reactor on a micro scale? So now I have a stream of particles. I send to this one. I'm getting, let's say, 70% conversion. So let's say this is a real reactor. I send it to another real reactor prime. I'm getting, let's say, 75% conversion. Why conversion is different? Why conversion is different here? Because the residence time of particles is different for real reactor and real reactor prime. These 2 reactors has a 2 different residence times. So your conversion that you see is a function of conversion of particles, which a conversion of particles, or let's say average conversion of particles, which is a function of residence times, which is a function of flow patterns, which is a function of flow patterns. Suppose I have two real reactors which are having same RTDs, or let's say same residence time distributions. So what you call this previous slide, this is called as residence time distribution. Just understand the terminologies. This terminology is slightly tough, that is makes the chapter 4 slightly uncomfortable compared to chapter CRE1. Not because of technical things, but because of the terminologies. What do you call this 5, 8 and 12 minutes is called as residence time distribution. So this is how you understood the flow patterns. Now if you take two different reactors having two different conversions, why the conversions are different? The answer is because the residence time of particles is different for both the reactors. Because the conversion is a conversion of particles, which is a function of residence time, which is a function of flow patterns. So what you can say from this one is RTD is the key for, let's say, reactor. Two reactors has same RTD. What does that mean? Do you expect any difference in the behavior of the two reactors? Two reactors has, let's say, two same RTDs. Then do you expect any different in the behaviors? No. Same conversion. Distribution. RTD stands for residence time distribution. Just understand this concept again. If two reactors has same RTDs, their conversions will be automatically equal. Okay. So have we understood the concept of RTD? So now what is the objective is, let's go back to objective and see. So what is the objective is generating a model. Then so we have written how to generate a model. How to generate a how to generate a model is, the answer to this one is based on RTD. So you take a real reactor. Let's take a real reactor. First step is understand RTD, or let's say find RTD from the experiments. This is the first step. Then what is next step is find a model whose RTD is same as RTD of real reactor. Find a model whose RTD is same as RTD of a real reactor. Then that model is nothing but that model becomes a model for this non-ideal reactor. Then this is generation of model for a non-ideal reactor. Have you understood? This is what you are going to do in chapter 2. This is what is chapter 4. What you will do is, first thing is you find RTD, second thing is find a react model whose RTD is same as RTD of a real reactor. Is everybody clear up to this point? Just take 2 minutes time and read back your notes again, starting from, let's say, chapter 4. Now you connect the dots. How did we arrive at everything? Just take, I'm going little slowly on chapter 4 introduction, because if you understand the objective, then next topics will be easy. This is what we will do as a first part. How to generate an RTD. Second point is, I'll explain you in the later on. Find a model. How do you find a model which gives the same RTD? Say you have to do experiments and do the RTD. Finding out, understand RTD or finding out RTD is from the experiments only. You should do experiments and find out the RTD. Second part will not understood right now, so I'll explain you in the later on. But right now, this is what is the objectives. So if everybody understood, then what is next? First topic is how to generate RTD for a non-ideal reactor. What is RTD? What is RTD? What is an RTD? It is resistance time distribution, correct? But what is meaningless? Let's imagine that if you are, let's say, everybody is in your house. Let's imagine that your house is a reactor. Your house is a reactor. So what I will do is, I will put 100 people with their eyes closed into your house. Clear? So imagine that you have left 100 people with their eyes closed into your house, and your house has only one exit. Does all the people will leave at the same time? Does all of no? Somebody will go straight away to the exit. Somebody will roam because their eyes are closed. No, so somebody will roam here and there exit. So you just stand at the exit of the room and see how the people are exiting the room. Is what is RTD. Suppose if your house doesn't have any obstructions, your house is a simple, without any obstructions, simple, let's say one hall, then most of the people will exit at the same time because there is no obstructions. Now, suppose if you're in your house, there are, let's say, lot of, let's say, 10-15 pillars in the hall, then what happens? So many people will stuck to the pillar and then come back, stuck to the pillar, come back, stuck to the pillar, come back. So some people, some lucky people may not have stuck to any of the pillars and will exit straight away to the exit. Some unlucky person who will hit all the 15 pillars in the home will exit last of the house. Clear? So that pillars is called as the back mixing. Have you understood RTD? This is a simple RTD because particles are nothing but a people. No, you are leaving all the particles inside a reactor. That reactor has a flow patterns because in the reactor the flow patterns are different because there are obstructions in the reactor. Why you created obstructions? Because if you want back mixing, you create obstructions in the reactor. If you don't want any back mixing, you don't create any obstructions in the reactor. Have you understood the example of your house? Or imagine that you have, let's say, a simple hall is there. I leave 100 balloons into the hall and I'll put all the fans on in the house and then I'll sit at the exit and then see with respect to time how the balloons are exiting the room. That is also RTD. So that is how RTD means basically residence time of particles inside the reactor, which is function of flow patterns. There are multiple experiments. One such experiment is pulse experiment. One such experiment is pulse experiment. There are so many experiments. One such experiment is pulse experiment. So what do you do in pulse experiment? This you have in your UC lab also. So what you do in pulse experiment is you have small real reactor. So what you do is you send white particles and you are getting, let's say, white particles out of the reactor. See, this RTD, you can, suppose if I am doing experiment with, let's say, nitrogen, doesn't mean that you have to do RTD with nitrogen only. You can do RTD with any of the gases because RTD is flow patterns inside the reactor. Clear? So I'm sending white particles. This is what is called as cold experiment, cold flow. I'm sending white particles and let's say steady state is established. What is meant by steady state? So white fluid into the reactor is equal to white fluid out of the reactor. Steady state is achieved. Steady state is achieved. So after steady state is achieved, at time t equal to 0, so you put m moles of red fluid. Why you are putting m moles of red fluid? Because now we will observe m moles of red fluid and observe the residence time of red fluid at the exit of reactor. This is what is the experiment. Then you plot time versus concentration of red particles. Let's say time 0 equals 0, I observe nobody is coming out. So this is similarly what you are doing in your house is also you put m moles of red fluid. Since it is a continuous reactor, along with the white fluid, I put, let's say, m moles of red fluid. So why I put red fluid? Because red can be easily identified at the outlet. No? So you have put 100 people into your room and you are observing how that 100 are coming out of the room. So t equal to 0. Let's say after 1 minute, I see, let's say, 5 red particles are coming. After 2 minutes, let's say I see, let's say, 10 particles. After 3, let's say 20 people. When do you stop this experiment? Suppose you have put 100 people into your home. When do you stop the experiment? When the red is 0. Red is 0 doesn't mean that there is no red inside the reactor. So suppose you have, let's say, 100 people into your room. So you got all the 99 people and nobody is coming out. That doesn't mean that nobody is there inside the home. No? The unlucky person who is stuck to all the 15 pillars will come at, let's say, after 1 day or 2 days. Clear, no? So When you collect all the red fluid, that is where you will actually stop the experiments. Just right up to this point. In chapter 4, I will give enough time in between the concepts because you have to revise. Now, if after every concept, start right from the starting. What are we doing? What are we doing? Each step. So we have written, build up a story kind of thing. So you go back to first now and see what are we doing. We started with a simple chemistry. How do we design a reactor? So we have calculated volume of CST, volume of PFR. We selected PFR. We went to a vendor, asked him to design a PFR. Then he says that PFR is not possible. Then he says that closed PFR is there. Then you don't know how to calculate the volume because there is no model. Then you asked him to give a small reactor so that you do experiments on the small reactor and generate a model. Then what are the experiments that you do? Then you got a question, how do I generate a model? Then if you understand reactor in detail, reactor is nothing but whatever the conversion that you are getting at the outlet of the reactor is conversion of the multiple particles. So conversion is the average conversion of the particles. That conversion of particles depends upon the residence time. So basically what you understood is residence time distribution is the key for a reactor. So you have to understood the residence time distribution. So what you do is you take a non-ideal reactor, generate the RTD, and you have to generate a model whose RTD is same. If a model has an RTD, if a real reactor has an RTD, both RTDs are exactly same, then that model perfectly fits for this non-ideal reactor, or let's say real reactor. Then how to generate an RTD is pulse experiments. How do you do a pulse experiment is, so you send a stream of white particles, suddenly inject m moles of red fluid and observe how the red fluid is coming out of the reactor. So are you with me till now? Concentration will not be same after some time. Concentration will be different. It depends upon how many people are coming now. Write your notes. Yeah, there is another experiment, step experiments we can do. Ultimate objective is you need to find out how the residence time is affecting. Now, if I draw a plot of, let's say, T versus concentration of red particles, this is how you get the graph. So how do I know that whether I did a right experiments or wrong experiments is, I will calculate integration of C into dt. So 0 to infinity I put, assuming that till infinity time you get some red particles. So what is this 0 to infinity C dt is amount of red fluid that you injected, which is equal to m divided by, let's say, v. If these two are equal, then this is experimentally how much red fluid that you have collected. This is theoretically red fluid experiment. This is red fluid theoretical. Red fluid added. Red fluid experiments. If these two are exactly equal, then your experiment is perfectly aligned. So what happens is, I injected 100 people into my room. I collected only 50 people, and if I go back and reported that I have did the RTD experiment, then you have done the wrong RTD experiments, because you actually injected 100 people, 50 people are still inside because they have not, you observed, let's say, 5 minutes and nobody is coming, then you have concluded the experiment is wrong way of doing the experiment, because some 50 people are stuck inside because of some back mixing. They will come, let's say, after 1 hour or after 2 hours. Clear? V is the volumetric flow rate. Clear? So this is what is called as RTD of real reactor. This is what you call it as RTD of a real reactor. So the shape of the curve will be different. There is no need that the curve should be like this only. The curve can be anything. You will get maybe two small curves you will get, you don't know, but I just plotted some prototype of the curve. Suppose if I calculate area under the curve, which is 0 to infinity into C dt, then if I plot, let's say, the y coordinate with C read by A, then T, then what is the curve that you will get is this one. Can you calculate what is area under this curve? A prime, which is nothing but 0 to infinity. What is this coordinate? I will call it as E curve, E into dt. What is E dt? 0 to infinity, C red into dt divided by A. But what is this thing? This entire thing is A, no? A divided by A, which is 1. So area of this curve is 1, which is called as E curve. What is the definition of E is exit A's distribution. What do you call it as E is exit A's. Exit A's distribution. So I'm plotting C curve to E curve. So I just calculated area, which is area of this curve is. What is area of this curve is integral 0 to infinity. What is area of this curve? And divided your y coordinate with A. So why do you need to do this? I will explain in the next board. So I divided this C curve with area under the curve. Then I recalculated with A prime, area under the curve, which is A equal to 0 to infinity E dt. No? What is E? C red divided by A into dt. So A divided by A, which is 1. So we'll understand this E curve in detail. This is E, which is this one. What is area of this curve? 1. Area of this curve 1. Suppose if I plot, let's say this is my T1. What does this portion indicates? What does this portion indicates is fraction of particles whose A's. What is A's? What is the meaning of A's? A's is nothing but residence time. Whose A's is less than T1. That means this shaded area indicates the fraction of particles who has spent a time less than T1 minutes inside the reactor. What is this fraction indicates? Red fraction is greater than T1. So this is how the E curve. So I'll tell you why the C curve is required. Why do we need to, let's say, C curve is simple concentration curve. Suppose now if we have, let's say, C curve. C versus T. Now multiple particles has multiple residence times. No, I am interested to calculate what is average residence time. I am interested to calculate what is average residence time, because every particle has its own residence time. Now, how do you calculate? How do you calculate average marks in your class? Sum of all the people marks divided by number of people. No? Similarly, so what is average resistance time is sigma into Ct dt divided by sigma c. What is Ct dt is cumulative time spent by all the particles inside the house, inside the reactor, divided by number of particles, sigma c. So if I write in integral form, 0 to infinity Ct dt divided by integral 0 to infinity C dt. So what is this T bar is integral 0 to infinity Ct dt divided by integral 0 to infinity C dt. What is integral 0 to infinity C dt A? Suppose if we send this A inside this integral, then what happens? This is 0 to infinity C by A dt dt. What is C by A is nothing but E curve. No? E curve is integral 0 to infinity Et dt. So the objective of generating E curve is, if you solve T bar is an important factor. This tells you on an average what is the residence time of the particles, because this is an important term. So if you want to calculate from C curve, you need to solve two integrals, this integral and this integral. Whereas if you want to solve from E curve, this is only a simple one integral. Clear? Now just take 2-3 minutes time and read the entire chapter 4 again. So with this one, we have completed pulse experiments, which is first part, how to find the RT. Then another experiment is there, which is step experiment. We will solve 1 or 2 problems in the pulse experiment. Anybody of you finding it difficult, the chapter 4? So I'm going very slowly on chapter 4, explaining the science and let's say reason for each terminology. If you find difficult, it is because of the terminology. Please follow the terminology in chapter 4. So what does the numerator signifies in the average is, this is nothing but a simple experiment. I have 3 students whose marks are 60, 70, 80. How do you calculate 60 plus 70 plus 80 divided by 3? No? Similarly, this is concentration multiplied by time. That means suppose if 5 particles has the same time, then the cumulative time spent by all the particles divided by number of particles. So are you with me till now? So how a comes in the denominator is this. A is nothing but, let's say, integral 0 to infinity c dt, no? This is what is a, no? With the previous slides, if we calculate, what is a is nothing but, let's say, here. This is a, no? Integral 0 to infinity c dt. So that a, c by a is nothing but your e curve, et dt. So I'm getting, let's say, multiple doubts. Why E curve is generated? Because this is to solve T bar. T bar is easy, and E curve is easy to understand because it normalizes the number of particles. Suppose C curve, if you see, it tells you 50 particles, 60 particles, then you need to tell out of 100 particles, 50 particles has come. So that E curve eliminates that, let's say, the concept of total number of particles. It tells you how much fraction. Let's say 30% has like this, 30% has like this. So this is normalization. So if everybody is clear, then we'll solve one problem. So the RTD experiment of a real reactor is shown, is given below, is shown here. Is shown here. The RTD experiments of a real reactor is shown here. Something like this. This is 5, this is 10, this is 5, this is concentration of red particles, this is, let's say, time, which is in minutes. And this is a real reactor. M is equal to 1 mole of red fluid is injected. It is a pulse experiment. So what is first question is, what is T bar? What is second question is, what is volume of the reactor? So what is T bar is? .5 minutes. So first thing is from the C curve translate to E curve. This is 5, 10. This is 5. Clear? This is C, this is T. Clear? So what is area under the curve? This is area, no? The mass is located here only. The particle started coming from 5 minutes and ended up in 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, there is no particles. Before 5 minutes, there is no particles. So area under the curve is 5 into 5, 25. So what is E curve is? This is what is E curve. Now how do you calculate T bar is? 0 to infinity. I will calculate from E curve because I need to solve only one integral. 0 to infinity et dt. Now comes here 0 to, now look at this curve. T less than 5, what is E value? 0. 5 less than T less than 10, what is E value? 1 by 5. T greater than 10, what is E value? 0. Now if you substitute this here, then what happens is T bar is nothing but 0 to infinity 1 by 5 into T dt. This limits also will change. This is 5, this is 10. Below 5, 0, above 10, 0. If you solve, you will get 7.5 minutes. Now, pulse experiments are, let's say, even with common sense also you can answer this question. What is an average? Average is something which divides this area into two equal parts, no? So 7 point should be there, so that this area will be 12.5. This area is 12.5. What is average? Average is something which splits this into two equal parts. Suppose if somebody gets, so basically you should know T bar should be in between 5 to 10 only. If you get an answer which is below 5, above 10, you are wrong. Let's imagine that you in your class, you have done a slip test. All the people marks are in between 5 to 10. Then what should be the average? Should it be below 5, above 10? Not possible. No? It should be in between 5 to 10 only. So this is the simple common sense. Sometimes what happens is using this common sense, you can, suppose if you have an option, only one which is in between 5 to 10, then do you need to solve this question? Suppose I have given options as, let's say, 5, 10, 7.5 and 15. What is the answer? Immediately we'll ask. Answer 7.5, no? So you don't need to solve this question because answer should be in between 5 to 10. Imagine that your class strength is 100. All the 100 people marks is in between 5 to 10. Then where the average lies? In between 5 to 10 only, no? Then once you get T bar, so since these experiments are already corrected experiments, that means these are correct experiments. That means mass balance is checked. That means 0 to infinity. What is area under the curve? C dt, which is equal to m divided by v. What is integral 0 to infinity C dt? 25, which is equal to m divided by v. So what is m? 1, no? So what is v is 1 by 25 liters per minute. Then what is your volume? Volume is nothing but T bar into V. So what is T bar? 7.5 into 1 by 25. This many liters. This is volume of the reactor. M value is given in the question, no? M is 1 mole. I think it is almost 5 minutes, so we may not solve another question. We'll close the class here, and we are open for, let's say, doubts. So tomorrow we'll solve many problems here. The white fluid is a particle, basically main stream, no? You are adding red fluid along with this. So if you have any doubts, just let me know. So tomorrow we'll solve some more problems here, and then we will start step experiments. This is not, but can you tell book name mentioned? So this is 100 ideas for rent, book of UOP. So another question is, I'll share the MSUBU copy. So I'm getting multiple mails. I'll sum of them and I'll send once. If asked for V, then we can solve less. If you ask for V also, then you have to solve T bar. Without T bar, you can't solve V, no? If the curve is different, then we say that the answer is in between 5 to 10. Yeah, whatever it may be the curve, the answer should be in between that ends. So whatever the shaded area, answer should be in between. Area under the E curve is 1 because, so it is, because you divided, this is how do you translate A curve? C divided by A, no? So if you calculate A bar, which is integral E dt 0 to infinity, what is E? Nothing but 0 to, the curve shape remains same, C divided by A into dt. What is C divided by A? Which is nothing but A by A, which is 1. Could you please, another doubt is, could you please let me know the scope of micro reactors in process intensification is to increase the surface area and then to have a better heat transfer. So to control the hot spot, suppose if you, what is the role of micro reactors is you have a more surface area, so heat dissipation will be uniform, so hot spots can be controlled. Which one is better? Another question, which one is better, MFR in parallel, MFR in series? We can't say no, MFR in parallel, MFR depends upon the chemistry. So I'm okay, but facing problem while solving, how to overcome it? That is by solving many problems. This is the problem for everybody. So theory understood, and while solving the problems, you will face difficulty because that is because you have a lack of problem solving experience. So another doubt is, considering that ideal reactors do not exist in nature, the reason why we study PFR to know about extreme? No. You will come to know the second part. What you do is, you will write the non-ideal reactor as a combination of ideal reactors. The objective of CSTR PFR is, they will help you to generate a model. So ultimately, in the non-ideal reactors, in the second part, what do you do is, you will generate a model which will have a same RTD. So how do you generate that model is using CSTR PFR combinations. Clear? Can we ourselves jet 7 point is between 5 and 10, find the volumes? If you are confident that the area is same, here in this question it is, you are confident because 7.5 is the answer. You can't say that average of 5 and 10 because 7.5 is the point where this side area are exactly same. So somebody is asking this question again, MFR in parallel, MFR in series are better. So because we can't say, it depends upon the application. It is mandatory that C versus T curve, yeah, it can be continuous, it can be non-continuous, we can't say. Pulse input means you are adding all the red particles at a single time, no? That is called as pulse. Book for non-ideal reactor, same. 11th school. I think no question, so I'm